Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is RainbowDave. Let's have a look at the first dev blog for FS19. It released about noon German time today. You might already have seen some coverage of it, you might have read it yourself, but let's have a look through it right now and I'll give my thoughts at the end. So it reads, welcome to the first dev blog for Farming Simulator 19. In the run-up to release, we'll be sharing in-depth details about the new and improved features coming in Farming Simulator 19. Today, we'll introduce you to the new farm creation systems that give you more options for how and where to build your farm. The central pillar of these new systems is a change to how owning land works. Rather than buying single fields, you now buy tracts of land that include fields, forests, and space for buildings. This is now yours to do with as you wish, creating new fields, placing silos for storage, placing pastures, and cutting down the trees for lumber. It all ties into our 3 new play modes. New Farmer is a balanced starting experience that gives you some equipment and a small pre-placed farm ready to be upgraded. This mode is similar in playstyle to previous farming simulator games and is recommended for new players. Farm Manager gives you a large amount of money but no farm or equipment to speak of. This leaves you completely open to build the farm of your dreams, picking a prime starting location and crafting everything from the produce to the aesthetics. Start from scratch is the most hardcore option, enabling realistic settings and starting you with no land, no farm, and limited money. You'll need to plan carefully, and we're excited to see which areas of the map become optimal starting locations under these conditions. Enhancing this experience is an expansion of the placeable system, which allows you to choose not only where your farm is, but how it looks. Decoration placeables will add to the look and feel of your farm, while pastures of animals and silo storage points let you customize its efficiency. This is also how you choose your house spawn point and hire your new canine friend, as seen in the E3 CGI trailer. It even allows for multiple farms in one multiplayer server, with individual players owning different areas of the map, and specializing in different areas. Max out on pastures to create the perfect cattle farm. Use arable land to produce food. Choose how to use the land at your disposal. The details of multiplayer will be discussed further in a future update. Naturally, modding is fully supported in these improved systems. Industrious community members are invited to create their own farmhouses, husbandries, farm silos, and anything else for the placeable system. Meanwhile, mod maps can define their own purchasable areas, which NPCs are associated with them, how much they cost, and even if they're included in the new Farmer starting mode. How will you play Farming Simulator 19? Start from nothing and work your way up to maximum efficiency? Or build the beautiful farm of your dreams in the most scenic locations thanks to our overhauled graphics engine? We're looking forward to seeing what you do when Farming Simulator 19 releases later this year. So, there's both a lot of information and very little information in this. There's a lot of information in terms of the difficulty changes that they're making, in terms of changing it from, what are the current ones? Easy, medium, and hard. To, what did they call it? I need to look again. New Farmer, Farm Manager, and Start from Scratch. I'll get back to that in a second. But the bigger change, and I think this is really why they've led with this dev blog, and the first thing that any game shows you in terms of dev blogs, in terms of pictures, in terms of like things that the developers and the game wants to flesh out, is usually the most important. So this is what Giants are seeing as the single most important thing that is new to FS19. Is the way that you can now buy the land. Now, those of you that have played Farm Sim before, I'm presuming it's going to be most of the people watching this video. I don't see why you'd be watching a Farm Sim video if you haven't played the game, or if you haven't watched the game at least. You'll know that currently you buy fields. You buy field 1, field 2, field 3, whatever fields you want. FS19, that's changing. Why is it changing? Because in reality you don't buy individual fields. You buy tracts of land, which could have 6 fields. They could have 1 field. They could have 16 fields. They could have 102 fields if it's a really big tract of land. Farm Sim hasn't really reflected that ever. I've seen mod maps in the past that have tried to do that by making ginormous field definitions and saying this is all field 1. This is all like land area 1, and it didn't really work because the game wasn't designed for it. FS19 is going around about that, and I guess fixing it in terms of there will be like you buy just an area of land, and I would presume that like the more expensive bits of land will have more farmable areas. The less expensive bits of land might have more like areas you can build on, or maybe more forestry. And it is interesting that they say kind of specifically that you can, once you've bought the land, then start logging. It kind of hints that logging is gonna be very not very different, but a bit different in 19. In that you can't just go out and deforest a map to start off with and then start farming, which I've never seen anybody do, but it is a way you can do it. In FS17, the way things currently work, you can, in theory, completely deforest a map, chip it all up into wood chips, and there's your starting money. I don't know why you'd do that, because it would kind of ruin a map, but you could. But the thing that interests me more, because I think it's going to offer more options, is the fact that you can kind of just make the map however you feel like. It kind of limits, in a way, what map makers can do. At least the way that it's explained in this devlog, I'm sure that there's going to be like static objects that'll be still in the map. But the way that this devlog kind of lines it up, and I think the way Giants are trying to go, is that map makers are kind of going to be encouraged to make more kind of blank maps in a way, and then release a bunch of placeables that you can build your own yards. Which is a bit strange, I will admit. I'm hoping that Giants will allow for like modded placeables to be put in maps as a default thing instead of having to use the Giants placeables, because I can see a lot of UK based mappers and modding teams releasing like packs of placeable sheds and buildings and silos and stuff to suit the UK. I can see the American side of the community doing the same thing, the European side doing a similar thing as well. And it would be very strange to have like, I don't know what the starter, the starter buildings would be like in FS19. There's no information on that yet. We probably won't know until the day of release, or until preview streams and videos start going up of the game. But it could end up with some very odd looking farms where you've got very British landscape and all American buildings, because that's all that's available at the moment. Or very British landscape and all American buildings because you've got to use the Giants placeables as for the new farmer setup. I hope that it allows map makers to put their own placeables in and their own farm buildings in for a new farmer. Start from scratch. I kind of hope Giants will allow map makers to have a predefined owned area, so that you can at least own the main yard, which will be, in this magical world that I'm inventing, is all pre-built for you, in like something like the Colbert Park Farm or Oakfield or Lone Oak. That would be your starting area. It would be the main yard and like a couple of fields around it, I guess. One thing that it kind of I am a bit concerned by is that it's going to be very difficult to look at maps in FS19 and be to be able to criticize them properly, especially if you go start from scratch mode. Basically, all map spotlights in FS19 onwards will probably have to be done on New Farmer. Which, little peek behind the curtain here, map spotlights are almost always done on easy mode because it allows you to get the pickup truck a bit easier. And that's the fastest piece of machinery in the game, so it's the easiest thing to do map spotlight with. But I think the three difficulties are very interesting. Like, New Farmer is basically just FS17. I would presume the crop prices be higher, and it would just be kind of medium mode on FS17 kind of thing. Farm Manager is probably going to be like hard mode on FS17. Or like New Farmer could be just a rename of easy mode where the prices are like really stupid high. Farm Manager could be a rename of medium mode where the prices are kind of still high but somewhat reasonable. And Start From Scratch is the one that interests me the most, because realistic settings. Can you turn, like, this is the bit that I want a bit more information on. Hopefully going forward. Realistic settings. What are these realistic settings? I want these to be just always on for me. I want as much realistic stuff as possible. I like the new I really like the new land purchase system already. I know there's no gameplay. There are a couple of screenshots which you probably will have already seen in the background, and by this point you're probably watching the trailer on a loop just as something in the background. But yeah, this both a lot of information and not a lot, because a lot of this stuff, if you follow the FarmCon news, which unfortunately I've not really been up on top of that, and I need to catch up. The best videos that I've been recommended by Landy Kid are Simulate's videos. He strongly recommends you watch. Simulate does a really good rundown, apparently, of everything there is to know from FarmCon. So make sure that if you haven't watched those and you're interested in how FarmCon went, what to expect in FS19, and maybe some kind of hints that Giants threw out over there, that you watch those videos as well. He's told me, I've spoken to Sam, he's told me a lot of the stuff. There's apparently some stuff he hasn't said to me or Landy that is in the video, so I do need to catch up on them. I also want to watch his interview, his and Virtual Farmer's interview with Lizartan, aka Lars, because Lars, I really like Lars. He just strikes me as a nice guy, and to the people who keep saying I look like him, no, I don't, because I shaved my beard and hair. Yeah, the realism options, I want more information on that. I really do. That is something that's really interesting me. Start From Scratch mode, I will probably give a go. I don't see myself using it too much, because it is going to be very hardcore. Unless, of course, you know, I do a series and everybody loves it and it's the most amazing thing anybody's ever seen. I will most likely probably use like Farm Manager or New Farmer for most maps in FS19. Just to allow for things to move reasonably quickly. Another thing that I'd like to know that isn't really fleshed out here is how exactly is the placeable system changed? Will there still be this dead zone around placeables? I know that some, I should say, I know that some placeables have managed to get around the dead zone by actually limiting, I think, the collision boxes around them to be smaller than they actually are. And that's one way you can get around it. I'm kind of, that'd be something I'd like to know a bit more about, and I might send off a couple of emails and see if I can get more information about that. Another thing I'd love to know is what the hell is the dog for? Because I've heard nothing but the dog has a purpose. There's a reason behind the dog. What is the dog for? I really want to know. That's something that I really just, please tell me, because I'm really curious and I really want to know now. And of course the NPCs are back. I have heard that the mission system is getting an overhaul. This is probably, I'm not going to say it's going to be the next devlog, but it's almost definitely going to be covered in an upcoming devlog from Giants, is the way the mission system has changed. I've heard that it's a drastic overhaul, and from what I've been hearing, it's something that makes a lot more sense than the current time-limited one, where you can use your own machinery and you've got no time limit, but and stuff like that. But we'll get to that when that devlog comes out, because I have no doubt that Lars Lizartan, who writes these, is going to want to detail it, and I think it's Lars that writes these. I did see that he was talking about writing one in German, so I'm just presuming there. so that's that, and yeah, leave your thoughts on the new farm creation system below. Like, are you a fan of the new land ownership system? I definitely am. I really think that it's a big improvement to the game. I can't get over that. I can't get that across enough. I mean, it's silly kind of buying individual fields. I like the idea of purchasing tracts of land, which can be big and small. You know, it doesn't have to be a massive tract of land that's half the map, but it could be. It doesn't have to be a tract of land that's a single field, but it could be. What do you think of the new difficulty settings? Do you think there should be more with, you know, a second difficulty setting, maybe with the pre-placed equipment and machinery? Should there maybe be a difficulty in between Farm Manager and Start from Scratch? And what do you think your playstyle will be like in FS19? Because it is going to basically change how people play. It's going to change how I play. It's going to change how a lot of people play the game. How do you think it's going to change how you play the game? Will you play with, you know, what setting do you want to try out the most? I want to try out the Start from Scratch the most. That's the most interesting one for me right now. It sounds really interesting. It sounds like it's got a lot of stuff that you can do with it. I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I'll be back, well, later on today. I've got a stream, don't I? But in terms of videos, I'll be back soon, I promise. I will start making videos again. I swear. But until next time, I've been RainbowDave. You've been watching Farming Simulator 19 news, I guess, on the first dev blog. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.